We're going to move back to our timed items, and we will move on to our 6.11, our 1 p.m. Consideration of presentation by North Coast Opportunities, the Home Hardening Program, and this is sponsored by Supervisor Pyska.
All right, we have our update from NCO, and come sit up here. And then we also have with us the Executive Director of the California Wildfire Mitigation Program too, so we're going to hear from both of them. And I think,
Is your microphone on?
yes,
Yeah.
my microphone's on.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. And I think that Jay Lopez, you've met everyone except our chair, Chair Crandall.
Hello, Jay.
So we have to get you out for a tour. You're the only one that hasn't been.
All right.
Anytime. Alrighty. Well, thank you for having us. I know you guys' days are very busy. My name is Deanna Fernway. I'm the program manager for the Lake County Home Hardening Program with North Coast Opportunities.
It's on, you just have to be close.
I have to pay attention where I'm talking. But just want to thank you guys for your time. I know your Tuesdays are incredibly busy. I was here about a year and a half ago and told you guys I would be back with an update as construction started and we started moving through the program. But before I dive in, I'd like to introduce you to Jay Lopez, one of our developing partners with Calawea. So I'll let him take it away for a bit.
Excellent. Pleasure to be here. It's always a wonderful drive to come to Lake County. Never say no when Lake County calls, and so appreciate it. And my honor to present to you, give you a quick background on the California Wildfire Mitigation Program. So we can go to the next slide. So one of the things that we learn is that we have to have a plan. So we got to stop hoping and keep working to make a difference. Next. The California Wildfire Mitigation Program was born of the legislature, as the state legislature, as Assembly Bill 38 in 2019 that required CAL FIRE and Cal OES to form a joint powers authority to create a program that will help mitigate homes themselves. We have done projects around the homes, we have done projects in the defensible space, but never the home itself. So this program, this authority was created in 2021. The board was formed in 2022, and the first grant, which was Lake County, in 2023. So in a matter of time, we're doing quite a bit in very little time. Next. Appears to be a lot of time, but we're doing quite a bit of work in FEMA time to start in 2023 to have the first grant awarded and to have homes being done by 2024 is a great accomplishment. And that is all due to the fact that North Coast Opportunity is hard work. So as I was saying, it's just a wildfire structure retrofits. Touching somebody's home is a little different than just trimming up the plants around the house. So we're working out really hard and finding all the trials and tribulations how to do this. Next slide. And the nice thing about this program is that we're developing a model that can be used statewide. So we have a report to present to the state assembly in 2028, but we plan to do it before that. And once we have a model, it's something that everybody can use. So you go to John and Betty right now, they're 75 years old, and you ask them to wildfire retrofit their homes, they're gonna say what and where do I start? Or John and Betty, they are 25 years old and they just got married, bought their first home. You ask the same question, you get the same answer. So our job is to demystify that and makes it more easy to understand and implement. It's locally led, and this is a great example. NCO is a great local community group that can handle this very nicely. What we like about our program, opens it up not only for cities and county, but also for groups like NCO. We receive money from the state, and we provide the match for a FEMA grant. So that's something that alleviates the county, alleviates the cities, alleviates the groups, and it makes it very democratic. So pretty much anybody that's engaged, willing to learn, can do this program. And then it's a neighborhood and community-wide. So it's not a house here and there, it's many homes right next to each other as we can. Next. And one thing, those are the areas that we work in throughout the state. Next. And one very important thing, this is not an isolated effort. It's very important for us to know that whatever we do is also works for somebody else. So we're working with the National Institute of Standards and Technologies, with the data that they have, with the Safer from Wildfires, Department of Insurance. So all the mitigations that we do also can be used for somebody to obtain the benefits of the Safer from Wildfire program. Also for the wildfire prepared home, we're lining up our program with them. So you want to have a wildfire prepared home. I do on my own house, and it works out great because my insurance was kind of hinting that they were going to drop me. My house is against the forest. And once I had the wildfire prepared home, the discussion of being dropped stopped. So that's something that we line up with them. Also with the California Department of Housing. Headwater economics for the studies of what it takes to do and how much money it takes, and see if we can drive the cost lower. Firewise USA, our goal is to, in the case of Kelseyville Riviera, is already Firewise, but how to maintain it, all this work can count into maintaining the Firewise designation in that area. And also we're starting to work with the Governor Office of Land Use and Climate Innovation to line up our programs with them. They have quite a bit of programs that can benefit our residents with that. Next. And then the methodology, it just shows how we work. We do an assessment first to make sure that things are done to the hazard that is present to the house. So in one side of the house might be embers that you have, and the other side might be embers and flame, so you gotta mitigate for both. Next. And we use the state treatments that we have, Zone 0, 1, and 2. Next. And this is some more retrofix that we do. We take it to the next level. In this case, is the side wall. The state only calls for 6 inches. Indiana is implementing up to 2 feet of hardening on that outer wall, and also the material that is attached to it. It's important to modify it and make it less combustible. Next. We develop a minimal quality standards. That's a very important part. The minimal quality standards is something that we can hand to a contractor, and they know what code goes with it. The MQS that we call, and we develop with several groups that are experts on the matter, starting from the State Fire Marshal and the people conducting the testing, but also we had 4 PhDs that have done quite a bit of studies in the United States on this. And this provides a very clear understanding for Diana to provide to the property owner and the contractor on what's going to happen in their home. So having that minimal quality standards is our benchmark. Next. And everything else, it seems like it's been a long time, but it's been a lot of work done. So everything is things impossible, but we're doing something that never been done before. We're building a program from the ground up. But we're thinking that it's very solid. The step that was taken and the ladder that we have created so far can be good for many, many communities, starting with Lake County. Thank you.
Alrighty. Well, before I dive in, next slide. Yeah.
She's pulling it back up. There you go.
All right, next slide. So before I dive into what we're doing on a local level, I just really wanted to shine a spotlight on all of our developing partners, and I just really appreciate you being here today. No program is successful on its own, and we just really appreciate all of the efforts for developing this program and bringing this program to Lake County. I feel lucky every day that I get to work with partners who increase the safety of Lake County, and not just Lake County, but communities throughout the state. So thank you again, everyone. So speaking of partners, Supervisor Paiska came to NCO about 4 years ago with this grant opportunity that she knew would benefit Lake County. She knew it would increase the safety of her residents here. And like Jay said, is a grant that has never been done before. We're truly building the ship as we sail it. And so, as we know, Lake County is one of the most vulnerable regions in the state, and in the last decade, more than 60% of our community has been impacted by our devastating wildfires. The threat is real, it's ongoing, and we no longer have a wildfire season. As we know, these wildfires happen year-round. So proactive, community-driven action really truly begins with home hardening. More than 90% of homes lost in wildfires are due to ember intrusion, not direct flame. And so with home hardening, we really focus on ember intrusion. I think most of us here know that our hot embers travel up to 3 miles. In fact, we were just talking about that earlier. And so this home hardening program really reduces the risks by focusing on ember intrusion. Next slide. So when homes are hardened collectively, they slow the spread of fire. So when we first got this grant, we did a field trip with our partners, and we toured 11 different communities throughout the county. And ultimately, the Kelseyville Riviera was chosen. To implement this cluster strategy, we really needed a neighborhood that had tight population density. Some of the other reasons why the Kelseyville Riviera was chosen was due to not just the vegetation in the community, but that surrounds that community. This community also has vulnerable exits in and out. I think anyone who's driven through this community really understands that. In fact, we were just talking about a tree that we plan on taking down. It's in dying condition, and if it were to fall over the road, there are several residents that wouldn't even be able to get out at all. This area also has not burned in the last decade, with the other 60% of our community, and then every afternoon those high winds kick up off the lake. So we considered one of the most vulnerable areas in the community, so we chose this to be our pilot site. Next slide. So we've been in construction for a year, and these green icons signify the homes that we have already finished hardening. And so you can see we have 2 little clusters that are already starting to form, and that resiliency is really starting to grow. Next slide. These pegs signify the homes that are currently in development, whether they're in construction, in the assessment phase, or they're starting to go out to bid. So you can see here now this cluster is continuing to grow. Next slide. These are the homeowners who are interested in being a participant of our program. So every time a homeowner calls us, we put them on an interested parties list. We add them to this map, and this is how we select our next homeowners. In fact, we get that question a lot. So we look at this map and we decide homes that will continue to grow and intensify that cluster resiliency strategy. Next. So in this last slide, it shows all of our homes that we have, and you can just really visualize this cluster resiliency strategy that's already being created and the impact, the bigger impact that it has in potential. And so this map currently has around 300 homes, so you can really see what impact this could make whenever we finish hardening 500 homes. Next slide. So the difference in community resiliency with that map is very substantial. So with our first year, we really considered it a big learning curve. We hardened 24 homes, and every home is different with different vulnerabilities. And so every home has been a learning curve. So we anticipate now that we have a lot of those kinks ironed out and processes set in place, we are moving at a faster capacity, and we plan on hardening at least 50 homes within this next year. We currently have 6 in active construction, and as you saw on the map, we have 10 in development. So what does our program offer? So if you live throughout the county and even beyond, we've helped a lot of different communities develop their own program. You all are welcome to give us a call as you go through your home hardening journey. We are happy to answer any questions, hand out resources, or even talk about different measures that you can do on your own home or different resources and applications. If you live in the KRCA area, we offer free detailed home assessments, and these are incredibly individualized to your home. They take roughly about 2 hours to conduct, and they give us this really beautiful report of all of the different vulnerabilities that your specific house has. So if anyone lives in the KRCA area and they want that to take place, just give us a call and we'll make sure to put you on that list. And then, of course, this program offers the funding for the home hardening activities, especially for our vulnerable households, as most of the work that we conduct is done for free. Next slide. So let's take a look at all the key home hardening activities this program offers, but also some of the education that we give our homeowners and we encourage every homeowner here in Lake County to conduct. With our economic climate as it is these days, we understand that every dollar has to stretch even further. But ironically, a lot of the low budget or even free activities that you can be doing happens to combat zone 0 or the most vulnerable parts of your home. We're always going to encourage people to work on their zone 0 defensible space. Ultimately, CAL FIRE would love to see that 100 foot of clearance, but we understand that lot sizes are small and we can't always do that. But the most vulnerable part of your home is that first 5 feet circumference around your home. So if you have any branches that are near your roof or bushes up against the side of your house, in fact, that's what I've been working on the last couple weekends, is transplanting my rose bushes further away from my house and installing landscaping in that zone 0, or the hardscaping in zone 0. We also recommend if you are on a budget and you can only do one thing, it would be your vents. So a lot of our homes were built in a time period where we had 1/4-inch vents or even dryer vents that are plastic and no longer have the flapper. What's inside your dryer vent? Lint. And so if you think about all of those embers, they're going to find all those little nooks and crannies of your home. And so most of these activities really combat the embers that could cause your home to ignite. So if you have the ability to swap out your vents on your own, they're a very economical option. We encourage non-combustible vents that are 1/8 inch. Again, thinking about those little dryer vents and all those little nooks and crannies that the embers could intrude. We always still encourage folks to swap out their window screens. We live in a beautiful area where we have hotter days and cooler nights, so we're leaving our windows open. And so if embers were to blow up against those vinyl window screens, they would melt and create an opening straight into your home. Another item we encourage is the green reflective address plaques. Every home that we touch gets one. If you had a house fire or your baby was choking, those minutes really count, and you want to make sure that your first responders can find you. Some of the mid-budget items are enclosing your decks. A lot of folks have leaves and debris under your deck, so if you're not able to enclose them, it's best to at least clean them out and make sure that those embers can't combust from underneath. If you can enclose your deck, it just wraps your house and protects it that much more. Attachments such as handrails, fencing, and gates should also be non-combustible. Gutters and gutter covers are also really important. What's right next to your gutters? Your roof. And as we all know, our roofs are incredibly vulnerable. So if we can keep those clean of debris and add gutter covers, it's that much more safe. Garage gasketing is one of the items I would have never thought about before we started this program. I've got gas cans and paint and combustibles inside my garage, and I also live in Cobb Mountain where we have frequent earthquakes, so my garage door doesn't shut all the way, so I have these nice little gaps on the side. So that's a project I plan on tackling. If embers were to blow inside my garage, there's things in there that could combust. So something to think about. I'd love for you guys all to go home and just take a peek at your garage door and see what kind of vulnerability it has. Some of the higher budget items includes non-combustible siding, enclosing of your eaves, those non-combustible framed, double pane, double tempered windows, and then obviously the roof replacement if you have that ability. So before we start to end this presentation, I just really wanted to share some of the really great resources that are out there. We get asked a lot of questions about just different information that people are seeing online, and we want to make sure to send people to the CAL FIRE website. They have the most updated information if there's any kind of confusion. This page is one of our particular favorite pages. If you click on any of the red icons, go ahead, next slide. The red icons indicate different vulnerabilities in homes, and if you click on them, these pictures pop up, so it's really fun and interactive. You can kind of see this before and after of what's safer. Next slide. And if you're not as techie, this website is great. This home retrofit guide can be printed out. You can walk around your home with this guide and spot what vulnerabilities you have in your home. And the readyforwildfire.org, Jay brushed up on it a little bit. Hot button topic is our homeowner's insurance. And this is a really great resource to see what kinds of activities you can be doing on your home to not only reduce your homeowner's insurance, but keep it as well. So feel free to check that website out. Always has really great information. Next slide. We have a local website we just revamped, ncohomehardening.org. We talk about different materials to be used on your home. We just talk about home hardening in general, and we give updates about our local program. We also have a monthly newsletter. If you don't want it going to your inbox, you can check that out on our website as well. Next slide. So this is our contact information. We're always available. We have a team of 7, and everyone is really seasoned. They've worked very closely with CAL FIRE and OES to understand the home hardening efforts. So please give us a call. But before I end this presentation, I really just want to leave everybody with one thing to keep in mind, that wildfires are a solvable crisis. With the right strategies and proactive policy and community engagement, we can reduce their frequency and their impact, and home hardening is really just the start of that. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Anything else to add, sir? Did you have anything else to finally add?
So the beautiful part of this is that, look, we started working about 2 years ago, and you see all the knowledge that she has. And now that is embedded in your community. One of the greatest part about this program that called me out of retirement was to empower your local groups to be self-sufficient and do this. And I feel like a proud dad right here just watching my kid play the piano wonderfully. All the knowledge that Deanna has and she's conveying to her team belongs to you now. So that's a great part of this in here. And thank you, Supervisor Paiska, for having the foresight and jumping right away to the opportunity to be part of this program.
Supervisor Paiska?
Yeah, I was also going to mention that now we have, you are the leading experts. Jay, you've been an expert in this field for a long time, and now we've built this here in our county, and Deanna at the helm. Like, you are a subject matter expert. Your team understands everything. You are working with manufacturers on the development of new products that's going to help with all of these home hardening initiatives, make them easier for people, make them more accessible. But the other piece is the Zone Zero piece, which, you know, Jay's, you've been working on this for a long time at the state level, but now we have contractors who are also experts in this. So if anyone is interested, it is one of the easiest ways to protect your home, your lives, and your community is to make sure you've got that Zone Zero space around your home. And we have the best resources ever here working in our community. And we just celebrated our first anniversary this month, right? It was last June that we finished the first home, and we had a big celebration, and here we are 1 year later. So I'm just so happy at everything that's happened to get us to this point, and then the next few years where we're going to be rolling this out even more.
All right. Supervisor Sabatier?
Yeah, I want to thank the home hardening team and Supervisor Pyska. CSAC came through to do a tour of Lake County, and you were one of the highlights. And I think they walked away really intrigued by the program, and I'm sure Supervisor Pyska has elaborated within her committee as well about all the work that she's done. So I appreciate the time spent and appreciate learning a little bit more about what you do. I do have two questions. One is, what is the average cost per house for the rehabilitation to get it home hardened? And then my second one is a very long-term question, and Supervisor Pyska kind of alluded to it. This is a pilot program. With the unfortunate status that both the state, especially after the Palisade and Eaton fires, and the federal government sit, is there a chance of being able to continue it once this gets drawn down for all the work that was anticipated with the first grant? So those are my questions.
Yeah, no, those are good questions. So currently we're averaging about $55,000 per home, and that includes the defensible space activities. As I mentioned, every home is a little bit different. So we have some homes that are a little bit cheaper of homeowners who have been really proactive, and then we have other homeowners who don't have the physical or financial capability of doing much on their property. So that's about what we're averaging currently. I can't give a whole lot of detail, but we did just recently apply for another home hardening grant, and I'll let Jay kind of elaborate on the funding, but we definitely see more funding coming down the pipeline.
Yes, great question. So let me address the state first. We are pilot till 2029. However, it's a new bill, AB 441, that is will try to make us permanent, or at least extend us even more time to be part of this. And that bills, all of the bills that we have last year was AB 2469, gives also the directive to the state to provide funding, legislative funding to our program to bring it to this level. In the federal world, right now things are changing quite a bit. However, the hazard mitigation grant program is not being discussed right now as a possibility, but things are changing daily. So right now we're just marching along to what we have and planning in the future. So the application of a notice of intent for the next monies to do more work in Lake County has been submitted by NCO. And our goal is that by the time this money's finished, that we have right now, then you have the next part of the program coming. But so right now, statewide, we have till 2029 for this program. The way this bill, created as was written, is that every 5 years needs to have confirmed for us to keep it going. So unfortunately, every 5 years we need to go from the assembly to or the legislature to be renewed, and that's how it's designed.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
So there's about 5 million homes in California that are in the high fire threat area. About 90% of them were built prior to 2008. So the state's target and Jay's work is how do we get those homes addressed across the state? So that's what we're piloting here, hoping to expand the pilot project eventually, and really look at all those homes across the state.
Supervisor Owen?
Okay, I had a couple of questions. So you said that the average home, the retrofit for that is approximately $55,000 per home.
Correct.
And is that 100% covered by this grant?
Yes, so for households that have a lower income, all the work conducted is done for free. And then for the higher income households, they can have either a 10 or 25% share of cost.
Okay, so it's on a sliding scale, but a good most of it is usually covered
Correct.
on all
Yep.
of them. Okay.
Yep.
And then how much was this last grant, the pilot grant?
So this last one was 22 million.
22 million? And then are you doing all of the homes in that one particular area, or is that available to other people in other areas throughout the county?
So currently, while we build this cluster resiliency strategy, we're focusing in on 500 homes within close proximity of each other. So anyone who wants to participate needs to be in the Kelseyville Riviera Association.
Okay, but
area.
so it's not available to, say, Anderson Springs?
Correct, yeah, not at this moment.
Okay. Let me see. And then, so you had mentioned that if somebody wants to start a home hardening project, say for instance Anderson Springs, they would have to pay for the cost themselves to have their homes done in another area other than this area?
Do you mean the homeowner themselves?
Yes.
If they wanted to harden their own home?
Yes.
Yes, so at this time, they would have to cover that activity on themselves, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Supervisor Sabatier?
I do want to follow up with that, and I really appreciate that there's hope. I wasn't sure how much hope is left with the financial status of both the state and the feds, so I really appreciate those comments, because $55,000 is a lot of money per house, and I'm glad that we're able to utilize that to uplift some of the homes here. I don't want to speak out of line, but if you're going to do this work, please correct me. Check with your insurance, because there are insurance companies that do provide some reimbursements to a certain degree, but you have to front the cash up front in order to do the work if you're in Anderson Springs, and you may be able to get some reimbursement. So it's definitely not 100% guaranteed. Check in with your own insurance, but I know that there are plans out there for those that are not within grant opportunities, such as the home hardening program that is being run currently. And so there's multiple ways to do it, but I am concerned about the overall cost, because not everybody's able to front load that amount. And so, again, glad to hear that there is hope for a 2.0 version of this to keep expanding it further and further.
Yeah,
Supervisor Owen.
100%.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Just real quick, just for your question first, the area is selected because we have to work with FEMA, the great amount of the money that we have from FEMA. So an area has to be studied from all the biological parts. So that's the first part to get gets done once an area gets started. So when you see the area Kelseyville, plus a buffer of we went up to 3 miles to look for endangered species and all that. So in order to get FEMA money, we have to select an area and then work in there. Our goal is to move it away from that area as we have more money, and start expanding on the other areas as we can. At the end of our program, we'll provide the property owner a report of what it was done at their house. So the Safer from Wildfire program that is managed by the California Department of Department of Insurance, as they ask the insurance companies to provide a discount for what they have done at the home. And Deanna is going to provide this very detailed list for them, and the property owner will go to the insurance company asking them, this is what is done in my house. We know that Safer from Wildfire exists. What is this discount that you're giving for vents or whatever it was done? And that's a great link right there. And also, if they want to go for the wildfire per home designation, we're going to help them to get there. It'll be the property owner decision to be there. But also, they will have that, and that'll give them the ability not only to maintain insurance, but hopefully one of these days shop around as well.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, thank you. And that's a huge benefit to those people that could have some relief from the insurance companies. That's amazing. That's phenomenal. And I'm so glad that you guys are out there doing this work. So it sounds like this grant here, the 22 million, will probably be spent in that zone area, and you've probably got plenty of homes to take care of that. So when you get another grant, would you be looking for another area to be retrofitting then at that, or, home hardening?
Yeah, I know for myself and Jay and a number of our partners, we are always on the hunt for different grants, and they could be home hardening. I know we've been talking about expanding to do vehicle abatement, lot mitigation. There's a ton of fuels projects that are going on out there right now. So we are always, like I said, on the hunt to looking for other various grants. As far as the home hardening grant, like Jay mentioned, we do have to do that EHP review prior to award, and that can take up to a year or even beyond. And so that was a really good opportunity for us locally to do our program development while we waited for that EHP review. But it's always something to keep in mind as we start applying for other home hardening grants, is that is really truly the first step.
Right, and that's what I was getting at, actually, was what we could do to get other areas into the pipeline is what I'm asking for the next grant.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead. No, I was just going to say, yes, absolutely. Our goal really is to continue to expand in other areas throughout Lake County. I know the city of Clear Lake and the city of Lakeport are very interested in having a home hardening program within their city limits. But yes, this really ultimately, our goal was to create a cookie cutter program that we could expand to other various communities.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And right now from the state, we have Prop 4, the climate bond that it was passed in November last year. There are $135 million assigned for home hardening. It's not as specific to our program, but we're working real hard to try to get all of those. That will help us expand the program within the county here, but also to other counties during the state. So we're hoping that those monies, or at least partial money, will come to us and we keep moving forward with that.
Thank you.
Supervisor Pyska.
Yeah. So just for transparency, there are some homes that can't be done in the pilot area, and that's because there can't be any outstanding code violations. So if someone built a deck without a permit, they can't be part of the program. But you do the Zone 0 work and figure out how to do some things that are allowable. But those are the constraints with FEMA. And then again, it's homes that, and the historical homes too. If they're too old, that's been a difficulty in the pilot program as well. That's one of the reasons the Rivieras was selected. Is they're all mostly the same age, and they're very similar homes, and so it was really a way to have a successful pilot. Homes that are built after 2008 don't need this. So like in Anderson Springs, those are mostly all new homes. And so that would be, if you wanted to do some work there, it would be mostly focusing on.
That was just an
defensible
example,
space.
yeah.
But, yeah, so it's targeting those homes prior to 2008 that are fully compliant with all codes. It's really important. But there's also a lot of legislation that's happening right now, both at the state and the federal level. So Congressman Thompson's working on a bill that if you do home hardening, you'll get tax, there's a lot going on there, but there's a lot of different ways that we're looking at being able to implement this in other communities, not necessarily with this exact program, but the goal of everyone across the board is to harden communities and harden homes. The insurance crisis is nationwide, except in Alabama. Because Alabama used FEMA money to harden their homes against hurricanes. It was only a $10,000 investment for each of those homes, but there's no insurance crisis in Alabama anymore because they've taken away the risk by hardening the homes. So that's why so many people, agencies and legislatures and everybody's working on trying to figure out how we lower this risk community-wide. So there are going to be a lot of options in the near future, not just this pilot program, but this pilot program is designing the path forward for rolling out throughout a community.
All right, I'm going to open it up to the public and see if there's anyone that would like to speak on this item. Anyone on Zoom? I'll bring it back to the board for further discussion in case there is. Any final thoughts?
Well, I just want to thank you both for coming. I know we intended to do this last month for Wildfire Preparedness Day, but this is at our 1-year anniversary of our first home, so I think this is just as fitting. And I know, Jay, you traveled quite a distance, again, as usual, to be here, and we always love having you. So thank you so much to both of you.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.